If you want a business to grow and you want a business to have sustainability and you want to achieve the ultimate goals and dreams, you're going to have to condition your mind. You're going to have to make good decisions, but you're going to have to take calculated risks. And you're going to have to put yourself in a position where you're comfortable being uncomfortable. And in the last 19 years, there have been 4, 5, maybe 6, 7 different times where I will get in a pattern. I'm growing my business. I'm comfortable. But then I realize in order to take the next step, I have to be risk tolerant. I have to take a calculated risk. I have to make a move. I have to push the envelope. Those are all essential in any company that's had any kind of growth. There's hundreds of stories. There's thousands of stories about businesses and why they have succeeded and why they have grown to the heights that they have grown. There'll be some failures along the way. There'll be some calculated risks that won't work out. There'll be times where you're uncomfortable and so uncomfortable that you don't know if you're going to find your way out of this thing. But if you make good decisions and you're always present in the moment and you're not an absentee owner and you are a great leader and you believe in your brand and you believe in what you're doing and you give it 100% and you are where your feet are, you will be successful and you will give yourself the best chance of maximizing the business that you're in. So I want to encourage all entrepreneurs, all business owners, and everyone who's watching this video to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. You will give yourself and your company the best shot of growing way past your wildest dreams. You're in a position now where you've been there 2, 3, or 4 years. And you remember the time when you were scared shitless and you risked everything. But now you're like, well, it worked out then, but I'm afraid to take another chance because this time it may not work out. You're comfortable and you don't want to be in a situation where you're uncomfortable again. But I want you to push past that fear, push past that state of paralysis and take a calculated risk. Make a move, make a good decision, and put yourself in a position where you're somewhat, don't risk it all, but you have to risk. You have to take a calculated risk to get to the next level. I have a friend of mine who's a poker player, and he's a very good poker player. And actually, he does it for a living. And he's always said this to me, Alex, I've never won a hand that I've never put any chips in. And that's always kind of stuck with me. And it is true. I mean, for all of us who play cards, you can't win unless you put some money in the middle of the pot. So I want to encourage everyone, in whatever business they are, take the next step, take a calculated risk, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Alex, how did you build what you've built? And, that's a question that has a lot of parts and a lot of answers. Or what was the time or what was the move that you made that kind of set you apart? And I've shared this story before, but I think it's worth sharing again. In 2007, I was fortunate enough to get 3 pretty good cases. And by the summer of 2009, I was able to resolve them all of some very good fees. And at that moment, I had to make a decision. Was my law firm going to continue to stay the size it was, to advertise the amount that it was advertising, to keep the number of lawyers that it had? Or in my business, was I going to take that money that I had made on those 3 cases and push it in marketing and in advertising and taking that calculated risk? And it was a risk. I took that money, and as we say here, I pushed all in. And overnight, we went from being the law firm that was probably the 7th or the 8th or the 9th law firm from an advertising standpoint in the state to being number 1 overnight. And it was one of the scariest times of my life. But now that I look back at it, and it's been 10, 12 years, it was the best decision that I made. And I think in any business, there's always going to be the time where you're going to have to take that calculated risk, when you're going to have to push all in. And if you haven't pushed all in, I want you to go back. I want you to look at your business. I want you to remember when you started. I want you to remember where you are. And I want you to remember where you want to go. And there's going to come a time where you need to push all in.